Today we're making super cute Pikachu ice cream cone cupcakes. I imagine that Pikachu is sleeping on his stomach and we came to eat him up. Having the cupcake in the ice cream cone is the most practical thing. I really wonder why I've never done this before. So you'll be needing some kind of dough. I'm using my basic chocolate cake recipe. I just didn't put any cacao powder into it and added just a tad more flour to have the right consistency. When I see some yellow, I can't help but think of lemons, so I opted to add some lemon extract and some yellow food coloring. But if you don't want to bother with making your own cake batter, you can of course use a cake mix. If you want to skip ahead, there's a timestamp in the description below. And of course, you'll be needing ice cream cones, but get the ones that are flat on the bottom so that they can stand up without a problem once they're out of the oven. The cupcake batter is easily made. Toss in the eggs and the sugar and mix it until it gets all light and fluffy. Pour in the oil and the milk, then gradually add the baking powder plus flour into it. Don't forget to add your lemon extract and add a tad of, or more than a tad, depends on your choice, of yellow food coloring. I didn't want to have the cupcakes almost white, so this little bit of yellow helped a lot, at least for me. As you can see, ice cream cones don't like to stand up on their own, so we got to help them out. I had some muffin cups that I didn't like at all and cut the bottom side so that the cones would fit through it. Just be careful not to cut it too big. We don't want shaky cones in the oven. As I didn't want to have a mess of dough, I filled a piping bag with the dough and carefully filled the cones. The dough was enough for 20 cones, but it really depends on what kind of cones you got in your country. Then I baked them just like my basic chocolate cake, but I had to check if they were baked through with wooden skewers. When the cupcakes have cooled off, shave them off with a sharp knife. I love nibbling all the rest later on. They are so crispy and yummy. Then I prepared paper templates for the tails and ears. I just copied them from a screen so that they would look good enough on the ice cream cones. Roll out your fondant and trace the templates with a very sharp knife or X-Acto knife. Those are pretty precise and don't tear the fondant. Put the cutout pieces onto a baking sheet and even out any parts that seem too sharp or weird to you. Then I let them dry out for a few hours. Of course you can do this the night before, but it's up to you. When those tails and ears have a bit hardened, add a thin layer of brown for the tail and smooth them together. I tried to cut out the detail on the tail as well without harming the yellow fondant. I did the same for the ears, but thank God those don't have any details. Now you can just dry them out completely to stick them into cupcakes, or you could do the impatient thing that I did and stick a thin wire into the tails. The ears should dry out pretty fast, and they don't need to be as hard as the tails, as they will kind of lean onto the body, so it should be okay. Just be careful you don't tear through the tail while inserting the wire. Finally, it's time to cover the cupcakes. I had a cookie cutter that was slightly bigger than the cupcake, so it fit perfectly. Just put it onto the cupcake and smooth it down. Now grab a small spoon or anything that is flat and long, but not sharp, and open a way for your tail. Once you're happy with that, shove in the tail. This sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. Do the same for the ears and put those into the holes as well. I like to smoothen the fondant a bit around so that the hole doesn't seem too weird. And I almost forgot to add Pikachu's stripes. Roll out brown fondant and cut out some stripes that you carefully put onto the back of the cupcake and push them slightly in. Now you have a small army of Pikachus. Let me introduce Barry the Cleaver. Well, he wanted to show you how the cupcakes looked from the inside. Let us know if you liked this video in the comment section below. As usual, the recipe is in the description. Like if you want to support us and subscribe if you don't want to miss our weekly videos. Thank you for watching and see you next week.